Welcome back to the Deep Dive. So we asked ourselves a key question, one you might be asking too. Which AI startups are looking really promising for the next few years?
Right. It's a hot topic.
We did some digging, used Perplexity for the initial legwork, and then NotebookLM helped pull it all together into a summary, like usual.
Good tools for this kind of analysis.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We're deliberately not focusing on the giants today.
Yeah.
Your OpenAIs, Googles, Metas.
No, the established players are a different story.
We're drilling down into the emerging companies, the potential unicorns, maybe.
Yeah.
The ones that specialized analysts were really tracking back in October 2025.
Yeah, it's about spotting those strategic shifts happening kind of under the radar of the mainstream AI news.
Exactly.
And what's really fascinating looking at the sources is this clear strategic pivot you see across the whole AI ecosystem.
How?
Well, we're seeing how agility, how focusing really tightly on one vertical area lets these startups grab these valuable market pockets.
Pocket the big guys missed.
Or just neglected, maybe, because they're so focused on AGI, on that total integration vision. So this deep dive, it's basically a shortcut for you to understand how the market's maturing right now. Okay, first, let's set the scene. We need context, right? The power dynamic. The State of AI Report 2025, a key source here, basically says the big leaders, mostly OpenAI and its partners, still call in something like 80% of the value generated.
80%? Wow. That's dominant.
It's huge. OpenAI's reach is just massive. Think about it. ChatGPT. Over 800 million weekly users.
Incredible scale.
And get this. 92% of Fortune 500 companies are using their tools, often baked right into platforms like Microsoft Azure.
So that dominance isn't just luck, it's a strategy, right? This total integration idea.
Exactly. It's very deliberate. They're not just building models, they're building everything. The models, the specialized hardware, the cloud infrastructure, the apps on top.
The whole stack.
The whole stack. And think about that huge joint fund OpenAI has with Nvidia. What is it, around $100 billion?
That kind of money. It creates a massive barrier, doesn't it? Hard for anyone else to compete head-on in that general space.
Almost insurmountable for generalized competition, yeah. It maximizes that network effect, control everything, create massive lock-in.
Right.
But, we also see variations from other big players, like Mistral AI over in Europe.
Ah, yes, the European challenger, focusing on sovereignty.
Sovereignty, definitely. And open weight models, that's their angle.
And they've seen some pretty spectacular growth, haven't they? Like 420% in a year, the sources said.
Yeah, the numbers are impressive. It shows there's real demand for their approach.
So why are they succeeding against the closed models? Is it just the sovereignty thing, or is there more to it?
Well, it's a mix. Sovereignty is huge for European governments and big companies worried about data.
Makes sense. Data residency is key.
But technically, their models, particularly Mistral Large, often pop up in benchmarks beating competitors like Claude 3 or Gemini on specific, tricky language tasks.
Like what kind of tasks?
Things like complex scientific reasoning or understanding dense legal documents. Stuff where nuance really matters. And their open-weight approach builds trust, lets developers poke around, fine-tune it. That helps adoption, even if they don't have ChatGPT's user numbers.
Okay, so that's the big picture. Giants integrating everything, Mistral offering an open, sovereign alternative. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, right? The startups we're looking at today, they're doing the complete opposite.
Exactly. Fragmentation. Deep vertical specialization. They are not trying to build artificial general intelligence.
Their agility is their weapon.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Laser focus on one thing, digital health diagnostics maybe, or orchestrating infrastructure, or super specific retail analytics.
And that's a conscious choice.
Oh, absolutely deliberate. They target niches with really high barriers to entry. Think regulatory hurdles, needing special proprietary data, or requiring insane levels of accuracy.
Places where a general LLM would just fall flat or need tons of expensive tweaking.
Right. A general model might get you 80% there, but in these fields, that last 20% is everything.
So the strategy is like, let the giants pave the highways, and these guys build the specialized off-road vehicles for the really tough terrain.
That's a great analogy. They innovate at the application layer, solving concrete, immediate problems for specific industries.
Okay, let's dive into one of those high-barrier sectors first. Healthcare. High stakes.
That's early.
Our sources point to Hippocratic AI. They call it one of the few solid startups in digital health, focusing on ethical LLMs supervised by physicians.
Yeah, and the need is just screamingly obvious, isn't it? Hospitals are drowning in admin, doctors are burnt out.
And general LLMs, they're just not reliable enough for patient stuff, right? Too many errors, not enough safety.
Exactly. Hippocratic AI is building for reliability and safety first. Tight clinical supervision is key. They're not trying to replace doctors.
More like a co-pilot, a really specialized assistant.
Trusted co-pilot, yeah. Handling admin, maybe preliminary diagnostics, but always under human oversight.
But, okay, let's talk money, because this is where the AI bubble chatter comes in, right? They're valued at what? $1.64 billion? Already a unicorn?
A unicorn, yeah.
Yet, analysts like Andrew Kuzumczak are flagging the revenue. It's tiny in comparison. Like $2 million reported. That's a huge gap.
It is. And that's the core debate. If you just look at current software subscriptions, yeah, it smells like a bubble.
So what's the counter argument? Why the billion-dollar valuation?
The argument from Kuzumczak and others is that you're not valuing the $2 million revenue. You're valuing the difficulty of replication. Meaning the intellectual property, the clinical partnerships they've built, the regulatory hoops they've already jumped through. That $1.6 billion is the price tag on their moat.
So it's valuing how incredibly hard it would be for, say, Google or OpenAI to just waltz in and do the same thing safely and ethically in healthcare.
Precisely. And look at their traction. 23 partner health systems already. Private insurance companies are adopting it rapidly.
That proves it works, and it's safe enough for the real world, which is a massive hurdle.
A hurdle generic models just haven't cleared because of accuracy and liability fears. Canvas business model analysts are pretty clear. The edge is proprietary architecture plus reliability plus trust. Deep vertical integration in a super regulated space.
Okay, fascinating. Let's switch gears completely, from the bedside to the backbone AI infrastructure.
Nvidia's turf, usually.
Right. But we're seeing a challenger emerge, specifically positioned against them, TensorWave.
Yeah, they're being called the symbol of the AMD shift in AI cloud.
The AMD shift. So this isn't just about picking a different chip. It's strategic.
Very strategic. TensorWave builds optimized clusters specifically using AMD GPUs. They're offering a genuine alternative to the Nvidia standard.
And why would companies want that alternative? Diversification.
Diversification is huge, especially when you're training massive models. You don't want to be locked into one supplier, but there's more. Price, maybe efficiency. The sources kept mentioning AMD's energy advantage. What does that actually mean for a startup using them?
It means lower running costs, plain and simple. Training big models burns incredible amounts of power. Heat is a constant problem. If AMD chips run cooler, perform better per watt, less power needed, less cooling needed, lower bills.
Exactly. For an AI startup burning through cash on compute time, those savings can be make or break.
And TensorWave seems to have solid backing. AMD Ventures, Asian funds. They're not just a theoretical competitor.
That financial stability is crucial, yeah. It's rare for an infrastructure startup in such a crowded market. But their survival isn't just about cash.
It's tied to AMD.
Directly tied to AMD keeping that technological edge, especially on energy efficiency. TensorWave is basically betting they can offer better efficiency and help companies escape Nvidia's CDA software lock-in.
CO. Yeah. Nvidia's secret weapon.
Their strongest moat, arguably. So TensorWave offers this optimized, independent alternative, and companies wanting to diversify their compute are definitely listening.
Okay, moving away from the really heavy infrastructure in healthcare, let's look at AI connecting with the physical world, retail, logistics.
Right, and we've got two interesting examples here from the Plug and Play Tech Centers program, Ethosphere and Profus.
And they show different angles in this, right?
Completely different. One is about optimizing human interaction. The other is about mapping the entire physical world digitally.
Let's start with Ethosphere. Human coaching in retail. That sounds counterintuitive in the age of chatbots.
It is. Their innovation is using real-time vocal analysis, analyzing how someone speaks to give predictive coaching tips, but for human salespeople, in stores, in call centers.
So not replacing the human, but making them better.
Augmenting them, exactly. The AI listens to tone, tempo, empathy cues, keywords, then gives the sales rep instant feedback or suggests what to say next.
Optimizing the human touch in sales. It's clever, but the sources flagged a potential issue. The monetization model seems uncertain.
That's the challenge. If you're augmenting, not replacing to cut costs, how do you sell that?
You need to prove ROI, right?
Yeah.
Better sales conversions, happier customers, faster training.
Exactly. You have to show that the extra boost in human performance is worth paying for, especially when simpler automation offers cost savings, even if the quality isn't as good. It's a harder sell to the finance department.
Okay, now, Profus. totally different scale, mapping the entire physical world digitally with a digital atlas and agentic AI.
Yeah, this is ambitious. Think global digital twin, but way more dynamic than just Google Maps.
How so? What's different?
It's about modeling everything. The inventory inside warehouses, stress on energy grids, the condition of remote infrastructure. It uses sensors, imagery, constant updates.
To create a model of reality that AIs that can plan and act can't interact with.
Precisely. So the AI can predict physical events, economic shifts, logistical bottlenecks, based on this incredibly detailed live model.
Wow. So applications in logistics, transport, energy, insurance risk modeling. It sounds huge.
Immense potential. But the flip side, the cost.
Acquiring all that data, keeping it updated globally.
Astronomical. Data acquisition, sensor deployment, constant maintenance. It needs massive ongoing investment. They're betting the insights are valuable enough to justify it.
A big bet. Okay, one more in this section.
Yeah.
Creative space. Runway.
Runway. Video generation AI.
And TechCrunch apparently noted them as being profitable, which is rare in generative AI, right?
Very rare. Most are still burning VC cash or subsidized. Runway found profitability by focusing.
On who?
Professionals, creative agencies, filmmakers, academics, people who need robust, specialized tools for visual effects, storytelling, and are willing to pay. They carved out a dedicated niche.
But they're up against monsters, right? OpenAI, Sora, whatever Meta is cooking up. How do they compete?
Features, usability, speed for the specific things pros need. They offer deeper functionality than a general video tool might. But yeah, the competition is fierce.
So what's the risk analysts see?
Consolidation, acquisition. They've proven the market, they're profitable. That makes them a very attractive target for a giant wanting to instantly grab that pro-creative vertical. All right, shifting focus slightly now to companies building out the broader AI ecosystem. And we have to mention the strength coming out of Europe, particularly France.
Beyond Mistral.
Yeah, there's still a lot of focus there on autonomy, sovereignty, even AGI concepts. Take H Company in Paris.
H Company?
Yeah.
Raised a lot of money, right? Over 175 million.
Significant funding. And their focus is very specific, developing autonomous action agents, aiming for systems closer to AGI.
Autonomous action agents. What does that mean in practice? More than just a smart chatbot.
Much more. We're talking about AI that can plan and execute complex, multi-step tasks in the real world, learning as it goes without needing constant human hand-holding.
So like an AI that doesn't just tell you how to reorganize a supply chain, but actually does it. Books of transport, manages contracts, handles problems.
That's the goal. It's a huge leap in complexity, needs breakthroughs in reasoning, memory. The European angle often emphasizes making these systems explainable, auditable, which is crucial if they're making real-world decisions.
Okay, that's the creation side. What about governance, making sure AI behaves?
Crucial area. And that brings us to Arthur AI. They specialize in model supervision and safety.
Which is becoming more important as these models get everywhere.
Absolutely essential. Models can drift, their behavior changes subtly over time based on new data, sometimes bad data.
Right, model drift. It undermines the whole point if the AI stops being accurate or fair.
Exactly. Arthur AI's main tool, Arthur Shield, is built to catch that drift, spot bias creeping in, and protect the LLMs from attacks or bad inputs.
So like an insurance policy for companies deploying AI.
That's a good way to put it. As regulations tighten and companies demand fairness and transparency, tools like this become mandatory. It's a risk mitigation play, and that market just grows as AI grows.
Makes sense. Okay, last one, and maybe the clearest example of this whole vertical strategy, Mercer in HR.
Mercer, yeah, they're a fantastic case study, transforming recruitment with automated, specialized interviews.
And the proof is in their clients, right? Even the AI giants use them.
That's the kicker. OpenAI, Apple, Google, they're using Mercer.
Wait, so OpenAI and Google, who could obviously build their own AI recruitment tools, they choose to use Mercer instead.
It's the ultimate validation, isn't it? It shows that deep specialization in something complex, like human capital screening, cultural fit, predicting success, gives you an edge that even general AGI can't easily match.
Wow. So Mercer proves that focus and domain expertise can beat raw AI power for specific tasks.
Faster execution, deeper understanding, it works. #tag conclusion and final takeaways. So if we step back and connect these dots, what does this October 2025 analysis really tell us?
It feels like the AI sector is growing up, maturing.
Definitely maturing. The flashy fundraising isn't the main story anymore. The key traits of these promising startups, it's strategic focus.
Deep specialization, you mean?
Deep specialization, medical, infrastructure, physical data, whatever, faster execution on that single use case. And really importantly, aligning with what regulators and society are demanding, ethics, sovereignty, AI, you can actually explain.
And it's not just about a quick buck. The analysts see these as long-term tech bets.
Right, because they operate in these sectors with really high barriers to entry healthcare, mapping the physical world, specialized compute.
Places that are hard for the big generalist LLM companies to just barge into with a simple model update.
Exactly. These startups have built moats based on knowledge, partnerships, data access, specialized software, stuff that takes serious time and effort to replicate even if you have billions.
So they force the giants to either partner up or pay a massive price for acquisition.
Pretty much. Because rebuilding that specific trust or efficiency isn't easy.
Okay, so the big takeaway for you listening to this, what does it all mean as you watch this space? Specialization is clearly winning right now, driving these huge valuations.
For now, yes.
But the big question, the one hanging over everything is, are these specialized players building truly sustainable, independent businesses? Or are they ultimately just incredibly valuable acquisition targets?
Will they get swallowed up by the giants looking to complete their total integration picture by buying these vertical solutions?
That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? That tension is really going to define the market going into 2026, something for you to definitely keep pondering. And that wraps up our deep dive into the specialized AI startup scene as of late 2025. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
You've been listening to Le Podcast de Philippe. If you found this useful or interesting, please do share it with friends, colleagues, anyone you think might benefit. It really helps us get closer to our goal of 2,000 subscribers.
We'd appreciate it.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.